Prosecutors in the US have charged a pharmaceutical company and two of its former executives with conspiring with doctors and pharmacies to pour millions of highly addictive opioid pills into the states of Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky. It's after newly published data revealed that big pharma companies flooded the market with the medication in order to gain profit over health, subsequently killing around 100,000 Americans across the country for a 6-year period. Caleb Maupin delves deeper.
Synthesized to relieve pain, but it's now becoming an excruciating problem. More than a decade ago, 76 billion legal pills flooded the U.S. market. A new report is shedding light on what's becoming a deadly drug epidemic. America's Drug Enforcement Agency has reported that prescription opioids have led to the death of roughly 100,000 people between 2006 and 2012. It's supply and demand. But how honest were these big drug companies about the addictiveness of their products? Take OxyContin, for example. It was introduced to the United States back in the 1990s. At the time, the drug companies said that it was completely safe.
These drugs, which I repeat are our best, strongest pain medications, should be used much more than they are for patients in pain.
Yet, OxyContin turned out to be extremely addictive. 2 years ago, Donald Trump stepped up Washington's fight and declared a national emergency over the opioid crisis.
This epidemic is a national health emergency.
But the problem's getting worse. People are still dying in big numbers. In 2018, roughly 70,000 people died as a result of drug overdoses. And on average, 130 Americans die every single day from opioid overdoses. So who's to blame here? Well, there are 4 major drug companies that produce the majority of the opioids sold across the United States. And the public has bombarded them with lawsuits. They want them to be held accountable for the substances they were pushing on the U.S. public, despite the fact that they knew they were addictive. With this law, there are much fewer obstacles to getting dangerous drugs out there. And so far, Big Pharma has dodged accountability.
The government is being used by other people who have done wrong. They're being used by people who are hoping to avoid detection of their own wrongdoing. Mr. Dowd will not serve as their scapegoat.
By paying out big settlements, the drug lobby has kept itself in the shadows. But how much longer is this going to work?
Manufacturers are continually raising prices to whatever the market will bear because they're essentially driven by wanting to make as much money with, unfortunately, vis-a-vis the opioid epidemic, little regard for patient well-being. So the pharmaceutical industry in the United States has essentially manipulated both doctors and patients by misrepresenting the evidence.
All right, enough of that video. I want to first start off giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Makakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Makakwadash, and peace and blessings unto the elect of the nation of Israel. And this right here is just more news going out to show that the so-called white man, who is Esau Edom, or the Edomites, according to the Bible, are the goddamn devil. You know, they're the biggest drug dealers on the face of the planet. You know, you got a bunch of, as we know, there's a bunch of jakes out here that get locked up and go to prison for long periods of time for selling illegal drugs, right? And then you got a lot of them that hadn't got, well, this Jake out there that sells drugs, and the face of who sells drugs is the so-called black man and the so-called the Latin tribes, right? They put it all in the movies. That whenever you watch majority of the movies pertaining to or that's with black characters in it, it's a dope. They're dope dealers, you know. And that stamp and label, like I said, has been put on the so-called Negroes and Latinos mainly. You know, that they're into selling drugs. That's all they good for. Okay, but the biggest drug dealers, the so-called white man. Okay, and even those so-called illegal, all right, they're responsible for that shit coming into the country and into what they call the urban communities. You know, and then on a legal, so what people know is legal, you know, you can go and, if you have a prescription from a doctor, you can go and get whatever that prescription says for the pharmacy to issue to you. You know, so that's legal. And as we see here on this news clip off the RT News, and I'll put this in the description box, but you can just go on RT website on the YouTube and check the video out. But you know, we already know this stuff. The so-called white man is the devil, and he's all about debt. Now, they had said it's 4 big pharmaceutical companies that's responsible for pushing out all these opioid drugs or pills. But it ain't. Let's put a label over all 4 of them big pharma companies. The so-called white man, that's who's responsible for this shit. Because if Esau wanted to stop something from happening, he has the power to do so. Because what does the scripture say? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Okay? He covered the faces thereof. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Okay, if not, where and who is he? So we know, since the Most High gave this bastard power to rule this earth, that he can make something happen if he wanted to happen, or he can put a stop to something from happening if he wants to. So all this is by design of, you know, these all these people. They said from the year 2006 to 2012, 100,000 people died from opioids, right? And then the number could be off the charts from 2012, and we don't even know if these are the real numbers, but these are the numbers that they give us of how many deaths are happening behind opioids, right? People taking these opioids and overdosing. So the number probably in way surpassed from that point, 2012 to now 2019. It's probably could be anywhere in the close to the millions, or if not the millions, of people that's dying overdosing from opioids. Who's responsible for this? The so-called white man. Okay, because he makes big money off of selling drugs. All right. So let me hit a couple of scriptures. I'm gonna close this video out. I just want to put this news out there. You know, anytime we get an opportunity to do a lesson or to put some information out, we do so. So this is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm gonna read verse 4 and verse 5. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Now this is pertaining to the so-called white man, and as we read down, I'm just gonna read the next verse, but if you read down, you clearly, through the process of elimination, can see that who this is talking about. All right, that it can only be talking about none other than the so-called white man, the Edomites. So reading that again, it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him," talking about his pride. His soul ain't right, and he's full of pride. "But the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine," talking about the so-called white man. He breaks the laws of the Most High, even though he's have the presidents swear in on the Bible. They always talking about God bless America. Okay, this Constitution was supposed to be constructed based upon biblical principles, which is all bullshit. Because yet, though he say these things come out his mouth, the scriptures say he transgressed by wine, by pushing out wickedness in the earth. "He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarged his desire as hell and is as death. And that's the part I want to focus on. He is as death. He's not pro-life. He's not about preserving life. He's about death. And maximizing profiting off of death. Not just killing, but he wants to make, the so-called white man, if he gonna kill you, he want to be able to make money off putting you to death. Okay? And right here we seeing this news clip from RT News. They make big money off shoving pharmaceutical drugs down people's throats, especially this all the pharmaceutical drugs, but we dealing with the opioid crisis epidemic here in this so-called country, right? And he's made big money by selling opioids, though it's killing people. So you telling me the United States government can't put a stop to the big pharmaceutical pushing out these drugs that's killing people? No, they want debt, because that debt is bringing in money, right? It says, and cannot be satisfied. See, he cannot be satisfied. He takes, steal, kill, and still just cannot be. With all the murder, rape, and robbery that the so-called white man have done in his existence, you would think that he say, okay, enough is enough. But we know the Most High created this devil to be the vessel of destruction, of dishonor, according to Romans the 9th chapter. So let me finish this verse out. It says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right? And he does that through pushing his philosophy on these all around the world, on these other nations. And I also think about the scripture in Nahum where it says well, let me read it real quick. I'll end on this scripture. This Nahum 3:4. It says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts. And this is witchcraft. Okay, the form mixing up chemicals. What is it called? I think it's called allopathic medicine. Is nothing more than chemical science. Them mixing up different chemicals and then pushing it on the people. That's witchcraft. All right. And all they medical symbols and terminology really go. It tells you that if they dealing with witchcraft. It says that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. All right, and America fits this scripture. This is exactly what America is all about, and the so-called white man is running this bitch America, and that's why the Most High is gonna destroy this man. Because if the Most High didn't destroy the so-called white man, Esau would go on a killing spree to kill up everything. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying and exhorting to the spirit. This just was just a quick little lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. And peace and blessings unto the elect of the nation of Israel. And Shalom.